have an interesting speaker right now. Personally, I'm excited to hear his thoughts. I want to call to the stage Amir Becker. He is Vice President, Incident Response at Signia. Signia is an amazing company, is a great example of an Israeli company becoming a world leader. Please come to the stage.
Thank you very much, Manny. And thank you, ICRC, for arranging this CyberWeek. It's also great to meet everyone in person finally. I have had the privilege to participate in this event in the past in different capacities, and what I love more than anything is how this growing community comes together from all over the world to share experiences and learn from one another. No need to say to this audience that in the digital age, the cyber domain is constantly changing and becoming a fundamental aspect of our societies and economies. Therefore, it's very important to discuss current trends. We are witnessing a tipping point in the way the internet has developed in the last few decades. Deglobalization processes due to geopolitical tension, and also the slowing of economies, together are bringing a change. The change is causing an ongoing fragmentation of some of the building blocks of the basic model of the internet and of cyber as one unified global domain. At the end of the day, it's a global challenge, and we are all in this together. I had the privilege to witness firsthand how nation states are building their cyber capabilities. I saw it happening in our tough neighborhood, as well as on a global scale. I saw the cyber realm constantly changing in much more rapid way than any other phenomena in the history of our societies. For over 25 years, I was part of Unit 8200, and in the last decade, I'm proud to say that I was part of a group that created one of the leading cyber powers in the world. After completing my service, I chose to join Signia as the head of Global Incident Response. I combined my deep understanding of the cyber domain together with Signia's extensive experience fighting the most sophisticated threat actors. Signia's teams, together with many global partners, work shoulder to shoulder with organizations worldwide to build a more resilient and secure digital footprint. At Signia, we live and breathe incident response, responding to all types of attacks, ranging from nation-state attacks to data breaches, financial crimes, and insider threats. The attack trends we are all aware of are still relevant, and just to name a few of them. So, of course, the supply chain attacks, which is divided to some different types of chain attacks that we are seeing in the last few years. And of course, as just was discussed, the cloud transformation, it's continuing trend, and we continue to see a lot of attacks in relation to this situation. And of course, the fact that many attackers using the immaturity caused by the digital transformation race, and its ongoing trend as well. The last 2.5 years, the pandemic years, were a golden age for ransomware threat. Many actors which are taking advantage of the connectivity and the new reality of remote working. It was dominated by more or less the same top-tier threat actor groups. Each one of them is highly effective with a good skill set, but ultimately their attacks modus operandi is highly predictable and therefore manageable. However, over the last year, things have been changing. We are seeing a shift in the threat landscape. This comes at a time when many governments around the world are taking more aggressive steps to fight back and better defend. For example, the US, after the Colonial Pipeline and JBS attacks last summer, and especially since the beginning of the war in Ukraine. The ongoing crisis in Ukraine emphasizes once again the fragility of the global unified internet and how it's becoming fragmented based on political decisions. We are witnessing a tipping point in the way the internet has developed in the last few decades. The globalization processes, due to geopolitical tension and the slowing of economies together, are bringing a change. This change is causing an ongoing fragmentation of some of the building blocks of the basic model of the internet and of cyber as unified global domain. These changes have raised fears of Splinternet, in which instead of the signal global internet we have today, we have a number of national or regional networks that don't speak to one another and perhaps even operate using incompatible technologies. The Splinternet, driven by politics rather than technology, is now upon us. The Splinternet, where cyberspace is controlled and regulated by different countries, is no longer just a concept, but now a dangerous reality. This spells the end of the internet as a single global communications technology, and perhaps not only temporarily. The consequences of the Splinternet stretch far beyond the population of these individual countries. As the web becomes more splintered and information more controlled across the globe, we risk our democratic systems, the potential corruption of free markets, and further disinformation campaigns. But even more significant is the shift we see that the cybercrime groups themselves are changing. Not just the types of infrastructure they are targeting, a reorganization of crime groups and shifting power dynamics on several levels. Threat actors and affiliates that used to be close allies are now enemies, forming splinter groups that fight each other, sometimes even in the same compromised networks. We have threat actors that are now more politically motivated, sometimes serving as proxy agents directed by foreign adversaries. We've seen politically motivated attacks in which a ransomware or an attack with just a distraction or a cover-up, or cases where there is no option to recover data, as it was completely wiped rather than encrypted. And as Russia is further pressured due to economic sanctions, we see new groups emerge, groups that care less about maintaining their reputation and more about creating a name for themselves as the new leading powers in the cybercrime scene, making them even less predictable and harder to manage or negotiate with. Finally, we cannot ignore the collapse and instability of the crypto market. Ironically, threat actors themselves are experiencing financial uncertainty, resulting in increasing motivation to breach multiple targets simultaneously, and an increase in supply chain attacks, which is another worrying trend we're seeing out there. All of this accelerates the uncertainty and fog of war as attackers become unpredictable in their motivations. The ongoing cyber challenges enterprises and business deal with are almost endless. But there is a way to build a healthier digital environment to prevent many of the situations we all have to struggle with. Being a CISO or a cyber practitioner during this era is one of the most fascinating roles. But it's not just up to the CISO. The responsibility is much wider. And all C-level and board members are taking an important part in dealing with this emerging situation. It also goes to the culture of security in each organization, and the ability to adapt new processes and the flexibility to change basic assumptions. This is an opportunity to shape our society and to build much more robust and resilient organizations. And it is all about us. Because the cyber domain is a man-made domain, therefore the challenges, but also the ways to solve them, are all based on us. So we do need to change the balance and the asymmetry and what we can do. And we all understand that every organization can be hacked. And there are no 100% bulletproof solutions, no one product or one system that will prevent by itself a cyber attack. But there are many ways to raise the bar and to create a more secured environment. It's about technology, but it's not just about technology. It's about creating and building comprehensive frameworks based on many layers, including internal processes, decision-making, resources, and above all, our behavior. Only when we are bringing all of the above together, we can talk about changing the balance between attackers and victims, and between cybercrime gangs and defenders. Incident response is a collaborative effort between all work streams: investigation, remediation, recovery, public relations, legal negotiation, and many more. Incident response is an art of implementing solutions during a crisis, based on a vast experience in similar cases, and the situation we need to bring the experts to lead us through. It's not just theory, it's based on a lot of practice and experience. So when attack occurs, it looks like that, and can damage the business continuity. But still, we have good news. We control the terrain. We don't know where the attack will come from, and we don't know when, but we do know where it will happen. It will happen in our own networks, in our own digital footprint, and together we can control it. In cyber, most of the uncertainty is about us and the gaps we have in understanding our networks and our digital environment. We can develop a superior understanding of our network and of our security fabric. We can establish strong visibility, and we can mold and shape the terrain against the attackers. When we bring to the table our attacker's perspective, we can together to simulate how attackers will operate against the network. And it all goes back to practice, 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 mainly on two levels. First, with management, to educate everyone on leading through a cyber crisis. So when we perform war games, we're looking to recreate tension and dilemmas leadership will face in a ransomware situation. And second, on the technical level, we need to leverage our understanding of the enemy to stress test our security against the threats. Cyber attack, especially a heavyweight attack, is affecting business continuity, and it requires a cross-organization effort. So we need to invest in incident response readiness and invest in understanding how we should work as an organization during a cyber crisis. Cyber attacks are what one can describe as predictable surprises. When a heavyweight attack will hit, it will be a surprise, but a predictable one, and we can prepare. There is a fundamental asymmetry to a breach situation. An attacker has the freedom to operate in a fast and agile way. It chooses the timing and controls the pace until the attack is exposed. And from that moment, we must lead the situation. We need to outpace and outmaneuver the attacker. And to do this, we need to ensure that we have all our ducks in a row before an incident occurs. So the last thing we want to be thinking about in a ransomware situation, for example, is who can negotiate with the threat actor, who are we going to engage for legal counsel, which forensic firm should we reach out to, do we have a relationship with a local law enforcement? But more than that, don't let the first time you bring all these people together be during the incident. This will save valuable time and enable rapid mobilization. At Signia, we are very proud to lead globally in this chaotic cyber jungle, protecting and defending our economies and our societies. We are doing that by building global partnerships and worldwide collaboration with partners sharing the same values. And there is a lot of meaning for this mission of protecting and assisting organizations worldwide before, during, and after cyber crisis. Wishing us all good luck in this fight.